Get started. I know we've got a couple of folks here, and I want to be mindful of your time, and some other folks will kind of come in as we slowly get rolling. So we are streaming to Facebook. YouTube's not working right now, and I don't know why, but I had to disconnect that. So, but the video will be posted on YouTube later. So apologize for that. But folks will be hopefully watching us on Facebook right now. So my name is Charles Drina, and I'm the lead organizer for Drive Electric RVA. We promote electric vehicles as a fun and practical transportation alternative that also helps combat climate change and reduce air pollution. Thanks for joining us. In the absence of public events where we can connect with electric vehicle owners and enthusiasts, we've been broadcasting live via Zoom. I invite you to check us out on our social media platforms. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Meetup. We're all over the place. So I wanted to start by acknowledging that this has continued to be a tough time for a lot of people. And so the fact that you're taking the time to be with us today to learn about electric vehicles and connect with others who have an interest speaks volumes, I think, to the promise of this technology to change the world for the better. The fact is that the negative impacts of climate change and air pollution are not going away, even though gasoline cars have been idle during the pandemic, although I imagine that I've already noticed on the road, having been out and about, that there's more cars on the road. So, hopefully we can be able to electrify those cars and make a difference in a variety of ways. So it's imperative to continue that march to accelerate electrification transportation in Virginia. A few housekeeping notes. Please keep yourself muted during the presentation. So save your questions until the end, but feel free to use the chat function in Zoom to post your thoughts and questions on the fly. And, I will refer to those at the end, or if there's something urgent, I can interject, but we would prefer to do the Q&A towards the end. So I'm going to turn things over to Lyndsi Austin in about a minute. And her husband, Lyndsi and her husband, Mark, started their business, RVATukTuk, in 2019, I believe. I'll let Lyndsi and Mark tell their story. The only thing I will add to that is when I had first interacted with Lyndsi, it was at an event, and actually, no, I think it was actually online where we kind of connected. I think it was on Facebook, actually. And I think it speaks to the value of online, in this time when we're still trying to figure out kind of how are we going to sort of stay connected to each other in this time when we're trying to social distance, and it's going to involve changing some things, but it speaks to the power of online connections that I made an initial connection, I believe, with Lyndsi, and found out about RVATukTuk, and ended up doing an event in Carytown. It was actually one of the few events we actually had this year so far. In February at the RVA Environmental Film Festival, they had one of their tuk-tuks in front of the Bird Theater, along with some other electric vehicles we had on display, and they're actually giving rides to people. And so they're very much into their business model, into electrification and the value of that, and trying and actually making some money off of that. So, but like I said, I'll let them tell their story. What I'm actually going to do is I wanted to play a brief video, and then we'll toss on over to them. So bear with me for a moment. So I'm just going to share my screen. Share. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Lyndsi.
Okay. Okay, hi, I'm Lyndsi. Behind the camera is David. We're the owners, operators of RVATukTuk. Talking about starting a business in a kind of a rough time period to start a new business. We first hit the road in September of 2019, and this is our shop in the Tuks. We have 4 of them, and all of this originated from a trip that we took. We traveled a lot, and we took a trip in May of, May 2019 to Lisbon, Portugal. And there were lots of tuk-tuks. There were many tuk-tuk operating companies, and most of them were gas powered, but there were some of these electric ones. So we came back with the idea that Richmond was ready for this as a company that would be providing tours that are both targeted to residents of the city, like bar hops and wedding getaways and bachelorette parties and custom rentals, or to people visiting Richmond, doing city tours or other events. Also special events like the folk festival, which we worked. We were gonna work the St. Patrick's Festival as a parking shuttle, and several other events that have either been canceled for the year or postponed until later. So hopefully those come back online. That's an important part of keeping us in business. But let me just show you a little bit about the tuk-tuks and why we are so pleased to have them here in Richmond. They actually, the manufacturer is in Amsterdam. I think there's parts that are made in Thailand where you are accustomed to seeing tuk-tuks that are primarily gas powered. Amsterdam was really about making electrified tuk-tuks. And then they are assembled here in the US. These are totally US Department of Transportation, street legal vehicles. Their speed is capped at 25 miles per hour, but they are very zippy, and on city streets, they're fine. They are 3-wheel vehicles. As you can see, they drive a bit more like a motorcycle. They've got the, what is that called? Handlebars. So David's the technical handlebars and a throttle like a motorcycle. They recharge on the braking. So we've been told that they've got about a 6-hour charge depending on the kind of driving you're doing. We have not hit that limit yet. And it really greatly depends on, I mean, like you will know, the kind of driving you're doing. The other thing that I would point out is that they are technically a limo, so we can allow people to have alcoholic beverages on board because there's a separation between the driver and the passengers. You see they've got seat belts. And heated seats for the winter time. And we even are doing some advertising on board. These back panels light up for advertising. And as you can see on this one, we actually have advertising there. So our revenue model is bookings of tours that are both folks that are in the Richmond area doing fun things like scavenger hunts, people visiting Richmond doing city tours, advertising on board, and special events. So if you know anyone that is interested in any of those, we would send them our way. We're trying to make sure we can get this going again now that things are starting to open up a little bit with the COVID and phase 2 as we move into it. What else would you want to say about?
Well, that's pretty it. I mean, they run on, as you can see, they just run on regular 110 outlets. It just plugs into the back. They've got batteries under the chassis here.
And there's a rapid recharging. If you're in a situation where you need to charge quickly, you can plug them in both outlets. There's 2 plugs, and it helps to speed it up quite a bit. Heated seats were nice. We did a ton of techie light tours this past holiday season. That was very popular, and the heated seats were a major plus. We also have rain guards that go up to help keep it a little cozier during the cold months. I would say, do we want to open it up for any questions, or is there anything that, Charles, you might want to kind of ask us about?
Sure, because one of the things that you shared with me the other day, it was about sort of, and if you would talk a little about sort of why you decided to pursue this business, because I mean, it's a model that's built on, I mean, there's lots of tourism in Richmond and that sort of thing, but I'm curious to know, I mean, you could have bought gas-powered ones, right? So, like, what made you decide to go electric? And I guess get into this kind of business and then decided to do the electric option.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the fact that these were electric to begin with that even made it the bell golf that this could work in Richmond. I mean, I think that bringing this type of kind of an entertainment vehicle to Richmond and that it's electric right now in this time, day and time, is kind of the linchpin for us that helps make this a doable. I mean, even just plugging this in all day, whenever we're not on the out, is our power bill is almost nothing. And we actually joined the Virginia Green Power Alliance. Is that what it's called? So you know, we're helping to to spread the green power in general through Dominion Power as well. I would say that there is one other in Alexandria, Virginia, or Arlington, Alexandria, I think, Old Town. There was one other tuk-tuk, electric tuk-tuk. It's now being used as a vendor. You can turn the back parts into a vendor, like food truck or a beverage vehicle, and they're still operational. But the challenges with this is that it being electric and being three-wheeled and open air, it was very, very difficult to get through the hurdles for the DMV. But we've got them, as evidenced by these tags back here, which I'm very proud of. It took me many, many hours to get that. And to convince them that it's, that it is street legal, and they are. I mean, they're U.S. Department of Transportation street legal. There were little things that had to be. There were earlier models that did not have the doors, and eventually the doors had to be put on there to make sure that it would meet requirements for most states in the country. So. The other real huge challenge is insurance, because this is a for-hire vehicle. Liabilities, more of an issue in general, but because this is a for-hire vehicle and they don't know what it is, this is new to being insured as a for-hire vehicle in the country. So we are paying like a ridiculous amount right now for insurance, but hopefully that will change as time goes by. We had started up, COVID, we shut down completely for, I don't know, 6 weeks or longer. We've just started up with some tours just before the protest, the outbreak of protests. But we have done a few tours. We're having the drivers wear masks. They're all private tours that we're booking. With presumably people that have been social distancing together. We've done a couple of scavenger hunts. They're family scavenger hunts that we're calling the Family Fun Quest. We've also done, we have a Great Escape where it's where you can go to multiple breweries and get to go beverages and tool around the city. And we've got a birthday party coming up tomorrow, right? A kid's birthday where he's going to get on board with his parents, his family, and go visit his friends and pick up presents, I'm sure, and while getting to see them and also keeping a safe distance during the COVID crisis. So
that's a great idea. I've seen people doing drive-by birthdays, but they actually drive by in a really cool vehicle. That's I'm curious to, because you point out, and I'm glad you pointed out some of the challenges. What have you found as some of the advantages of going electric?
Well, I mean, you know, the gas alone, I mean, we haven't been around a long time, but we've spent a lot of time on the road, and, you know, the cost of gas would have been, you know, something that we would have had to.
And the inconvenience.
And the maintenance. I mean, these things are really, really low maintenance. So we make sure the tires have air in them. We clean them up well. But we've really, that's it. We've got most of it we can take care of ourselves. Maybe if it blows a fuse or something like that. And then we've got a mechanic just across the river who's accustomed to working on scooters, and he can like put a new axle on one in less than an hour. So, I mean, the maintenance alone is a big selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say for, you know, one of the kind of kookier things is that the dashboard here means nothing to us or any of our drivers because it's got some very odd readings for what the battery's doing. So it's not very reliable. At 1 minute you might be going, I have no charge left, and then, you know, 5 minutes later you're fine. So we have not found that to be a big, I don't know if that's a language difference or something, but we've never quite figured out the secret behind the charge. We just are now going on how long we've been out, and we haven't hit the wall run out of yet.
We've been out for over 6 hours, so no problem.
They do say, like I said, we have an experience. They do say that it doesn't completely cut off. You just get to where you just kind of hobbling back to the shop, you know, in a very slow mode.
So it has like a turtle mode, in other words. It sounds so the Leaf has a similar kind of thing where and I think other EVs have that too, where it cut the power when it gets to certain, so that way it preserves, and I guess it will shut off before it even runs out completely, so that way you don't brick the battery.
Right. You know, we've been told that running these commercially, we may have to replace batteries every couple of years. So that is something that we're kind of having to think about and budget for the future. Hopefully we get busy enough to have that problem in 2 years. So,
you know what kind of batteries they are? Are they lead acid batteries or lithium ion batteries? Do you know what kind of batteries they are?
They're lead acid batteries.
Okay, I figured, yeah.
We've got 12 of them on board.
That was going to be my question too, because I imagine that if you don't mind me asking, how much did each one of those cost?
Well, I guess you pay extra for certain things. I think we paid about $28,000 for each of them.
But the base price is somewhere around 20.
Yeah, base price was somewhere around 20.
Okay. Yeah.
I know you mentioned 6 hours, but we sort of tend to think in terms of mileage. With average use, how far will it go? Do you know the range, or either from your experience or what the manufacturer said?
The manufacturer says 75 to 100 miles on a charge, but since we're city driving, we don't tend to go very far in mileage terms. Mm-hmm. It's mostly hours of usage. Most of our things are kind of short hops from one place to another, and then another short hop after that. So it tends to be, you know, we don't rack up a lot of mileage.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, we've never even come close to running out of power. We do, you know, we've got potentially a big event coming up in October. It's a big race called Ragnar, and we'd be towing these out to Pocahontas State Park to do a parking shut if that event doesn't get canceled. It was postponed from April to October. And in that case, because the transportation time period is, you know, that when we'd have to be on the road, would be for a very extended period of time. We'd have to kind of plan to roll one off for charging and roll it back on and roll another one off so that we have coverage, yet can still address getting them charged when they need to be.
You know, I was going to ask that and suggest that if you were familiar with sports backers in Richmond.
Yeah, we've met with sports backers. We have a relationship with the Richmond, and hopefully maybe we'll be able to partner with them. Again, a lot of it's if these events happen, but the Folk Festival, we were supposed to do the Churchill St. Patrick's Festival, do the from the parking to the festival and back this year, and that has not happened and will not happen. But they will definitely use us for next year. We do have a contract to do Richmond First Fridays. That contract was originally going to be for April, May, and June, and then September, October, and November. So we missed the first part of that. So we're on to the second part. Hopefully that gets to happen as well. We're doing a lot of weddings, wedding getaways, where people they can put a just married sign in the back and that lights up, or they can get a custom sign and put it in the back and that lights up. And this is the getaway vehicle. That was something that was never originally on our to-do list, and wedding planners just immediately started reaching out to us as soon as they saw us on the street. So we've just kind of worked that in. It's fun.
One thing I was going to say, one thing I'm curious about is as people, since you're on that topic of weddings and these different events, have you found that so is it, what's the part that's appealing to them? Just the uniqueness of the vehicle itself, the fact that it's electric, or I'm curious of how that plays into the, to the appeal and to the marketing.
I think the uniqueness of the vehicle itself. There's also a number. We've got a big wedding coming up in August, where the woman had done a lot of travel and had been in Thailand, where they have tuk-tuks, mostly gas powered, all over the place. So it was a little bit of a nostalgia thing. And the tuk-tuk was really kind of meant something to her in general. So it's part of her wedding. But I think it's the uniqueness that we still, even though we've been on the road for a while now, we still turn a lot of heads, and people want to know what it is. We plan on doing a lot more tours now that the weather is better, and hopefully now that the COVID-19 situation hopefully is improving, that will make a big difference. But I did want to offer, we are doing a number of tours and special events and bookings, and we want to be friendly and supportive to those that also support electric vehicles. If you want to partake of one of our tours, I've set up a code that says electric RVA, and that will get you 5% off of any of the tour options that we have available. So it's electric RVA, and that's just on our website. When you go to book now, you can see all the things that are available to book at this point in time. Any other questions? I don't know if I mentioned, we're in Richmond City. We're in the Carver neighborhood. If you don't know where that is, it's like right there near the Siegel Center, VCU area. The neighborhood's been very friendly to us. It's actually a really good centralized location for us for most of everything that we're doing. It's easy to get from here to Scotts Addition to downtown Fan, anywhere that most of what we do is. We have a couple of, like I mentioned, the scavenger hunt. We have the family-friendly one that's called the Family Fun Quest. We also are doing one that's a competitive one where maybe groups of employees or a larger family can rent 2 tuk-tuks to have a competitive scavenger hunt. So that's a lot of fun. We first tested that in April, and we've got some footage on our website, I believe, or in our social media at least, that shows that.
Cool. So I guess I'll open it up to, I touched on some of the things I wanted you guys to share. There's other folks, I know we have some other folks have come on call. Carol's come on, so thanks for joining us. And I know Jeffrey's on as well. So do either of you have any questions?
This is Glenn. I just liked you on Facebook, and how's your dog Pearl doing?
Pearl's doing great. She's a big girl, but she's lost 10 pounds due to us being able to do extra walks during this COVID period and special food. She's lost 10 pounds. She's now down to 152 pounds.
Cool. It's funny. My dog's actually gained weight because we need to be a better job of walking him, but he's been like really hungry, so we've been trying to like cut off the food from him. Any other questions about the technology or the business there? Other thing I was curious about, while folks are maybe contemplating some things they'd be curious about, was what situations would lend themselves to using electric versus a gas powered vehicle like this one, because I'm thinking for the folk festival, for years they've had these different kinds of like golf carts and smaller vehicles driving to the venue, and during the concert they're like, there's music and stuff like that, and these things will drive by and they're just like noisy,
Right.
and so you smell that gas going by, and so that's why I noticed, and I was at the focus, I noticed the truck, one of your tuk-tuks go by, and I was like, it's not making any noise, what's going on? And so I'm wondering if there's other situations where you found in the events you've done where it's actually been advantageous to have an electric vehicle that makes no noise. It doesn't create pollution.
Absolutely. I mean, they're quiet. There's a very specific venue that's connected to the Country Club of Virginia. Country Club of Virginia, where they have to stage vehicles. And this works out really well because they don't make any noise, because staging vehicles that are gas powered, they're making noise and perhaps interrupting the ceremony. Also, these can go inside. We had like the Richmond Convention Center, they can actually go inside the building. We had, before things were canceled, we had a wedding event at the Main Street station that we were going to have a vehicle inside. We had a Virginia Green travel conference that was going to be attended by the First Lady and others, and we were going to have a tuk-tuk inside. So we can actually, take these vehicles inside and use them in the case of a big event. There's a special, I don't know we call it the slow mode option. That's not
governor.
What it's called.
It turns it from 25 down to 10.
It's a governor where you can turn it down to 10, and that way, if you're in a crowd or happen to be driving indoors, you can't go above 10 miles per hour. So that's another real advantage. And in Richmond, we do have several events or venues, at least, where these could be taken inside. This past weekend, the step up is a little bit of a step up, but for some cases, it helps for getting, maybe older people, if you've got a shuttle situation for a wedding, and where it would be difficult for them to walk. We can get folks there. This weekend we had an outing with two daughters and their mother that was 93, and they just wanted to get her out of the house and have her have some fun, and I think they had a fabulous time. And she was able to get on easy and go all over the city. So.
All right, I'll open it up to anybody else has any other questions. Otherwise, I was curious about, I was actually going to ask a kind of funny question. I was curious to know, what's the most unusual booking you've had so far? Like where you're like, okay, and you have to sort of think about, all right, I guess we'll do it, and it turned to be like really crazy and fun.
Well, I mean, I would say during the holidays, people had a lot of fun on these. I originally, I figured we were marketing them to families with kids to get out to see the tacky lights, but we had a number of like all girl bookings, women, mostly women, and they had a fabulous time. They had our drivers were very accommodating. They stopped for multiple beverages at different places and had a great time. I think they did see some tacky lights, but that was not the primary focus of their outing, and they had a great time. And then we've got a great, we've got a birthday party tomorrow, which is a very sweet little family has a kid that's got a birthday. They're in the middle of this COVID-19, and they basically we'll be picking up the family and taking them to five different houses where their friends are. So they'll be able to see their friends, and they'll be able to, I'm sure, get gifts and move on to the next house. And I mean, that was a very creative custom rental that I think they will be quite pleased with.
Okay. Cool.
I just wanted to say that sounds like you're already tied in with it. Can you hear me, Charles?
Yeah.
But yeah, the sports backers, the two big races, the Monument Avenue 10K and the marathon. From personal experience, I know that this would be great. The shuttle to back to cars or whatever is a big deal. And marathon would be all day, so it would be a nice event for you, I would think.
Yeah, we'll have to circle back around and talk to them. I think we talked to them early on before we even received them here in town. So now that we're out and about, we probably should circle back around.
Monument Avenue, I know it was postponed. It's supposed to be in September. I was entered in it, and so hopefully they will have it and not have to postpone again. But there's that, and then the marathon's usually around November. So.
Yeah, a lot of times when we first spoke to the bigger events like that, part of their thing was, well, we're going to have to check with Lyft. We want to make sure that we're not offending Lyft.
Because Lyft is a major sponsor
right.
for the folk festival and the marathons and a lot of things.
Right. And they didn't want Lyft to perceive us as their competition, which I don't think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
So. But everybody might be over it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not Lyft. We're not taking people, from the West End to downtown. We can go into the counties, but we basically are pretty much in the city. We don't go above 25 miles per hour. So city streets are fine. And we do go across the river, and we do go down roads that are 35 miles per hour, but only for short distances. And it doesn't seem to be a problem. But for the most part in the city, we're a pretty zippy little vehicle that, if people are going faster than us, then they're probably speeding. So.
To the highways that you can go on, I mean, obviously you don't go on interstates, but are you limited to streets that are 35 or 45 miles an hour? We're not going 35 miles or lower. We don't go on 45 mile per hour streets. Although we might kind of bend that a little bit if it was a short jag to get us to where we need to go.
For the most part, people are very respectful, and they just, if they get behind us, they figure a way to go around us if they're that impatient. Most of the time, they just watch us go by.
Yeah, lights and the canopies and music. It's really meant to be more of a fun vehicle. The seats are facing each other, so it's really about being friends and going out and having a good time. It's not like a public transportation experience. It's more of a unique transportation experience. Mm-hmm. And people generally like that they're electric. I think that in this case, it is a big selling point for us.
Charles, let's book it. I want to go.
I was gonna say, we could we'll figure out. I mean, so I'll put in a plug to, because Lyndsi mentioned the Ragnar event and we're actually working with them to support that event because because this event where there's a lot of athletes and they have to be moved from place to place within this event outdoors at Pecan State Park. And so they'll be using their electric vehicles. And so we're actually agreed to provide some volunteers. So if any of you want to own electric vehicles would like to support that, it's over a 3 days in October. If you go to our website, you'll see the Facebook event on there in terms of the days and the times. And then there's a link to a sign up sheet on Sign Up Genius where you can sign up for a slot. So basically we're looking for folks to sign up for like an hour and a half, 2 hour slot to basically just show people back and forth. And the advantage is actually twofold. One, we get to raise the visibility of electric vehicles with a lot of people. And two, we won't be generating pollution. And because in past years they've rented vans to do and other vehicles for people that were creating, stuff that we don't want to create. So I think it's a win-win situation, but we definitely need some volunteers for that. We've had some folks sign up, and so we have from now through October to get some more volunteers. So please go to our Facebook page, look for that event, and the sign up link is right on there.
Where is it?
It's listed as a Facebook event. It's on October, so you'll probably have to scroll past a bunch of other stuff to get to it. If it's not on there, let me know. It's possible I might, because it was originally scheduled for one time, and then we had to start April, and we had to change it. So it's quite possible that I might have done something wrong. I don't know. I'll check. So if it's not there, it will be there. And I'll double check real quick while we're talking too.
I meant the actual location. Where is it?
It's at Pocahontas State Park.
Okay.
It's in Chesterfield.
Okay.
We focused on getting like some of the folks that have longer range vehicles, although again, because I think Lyndsi mentioned earlier that range is less important because you're dealing with short distances. Really, it's more about time.
Right.
And so even John, with a plug-in hybrid that gets, you got 70 miles, but even if you were getting to 50,
I can get 65.
You can make multiple round trips over road. I think it's like a 2 mile loop or something like that. But I'm also looking at like other folks that have longer range vehicles, so they can maybe sign up for multiple. The one challenge is charging, because we'll have to leave there are outlets, but we're going to have to leave those for the tuk-tuks to use. So basically you have to have enough charge to get yourself there and then do what you need to do and get out, because there's some charging that's available nearby, because like I said, in Chesterfield, I think superchargers are not far from there if you have a Tesla, and then there's a level 2 that's somewhat nearby, but definitely it's a situation where you need to have the charge, the longer range perhaps, or in the case of a plug-in hybrid, you can just use the gas.
I got a question for Lyndsi. Do you have established tours and like historic tours of Richmond or something like that people can sign up for or book?
Yeah, we have I don't know if you can see this. We have a city tour that you can do. We are currently working with the American Civil War Museum to do a tour in collaboration with them, and we've reached out to the Valentine Museum as well. We have a family fun quest, which is a non-competitive scavenger hunt that people can do. We have a competitive scavenger hunt where you're really renting 2 tuk-tuks and you have a competition. And then what else? Oh, and then we've got the ones that we're calling right now the Great Escape or a bar hop. And basically we take you pick 3 places in the city, probably breweries, wineries, cideries, and you make stops. You can bring beverages on board, so we're fine with that. We'll even supply the cooler if that is something that you need. Yeah, I think hopefully as time goes by, we're hoping to work on some other tours. We're really excited about working with the American Civil War Museum, and in that case, they already do some walking tours. So this is expanding on what they're doing so that they can go further and take people to particular sites within the city, well beyond what they would normally do for their walking tours. So there would be a guide on board that would be doing that. And I think that would appeal both to visitors, to the city, and also perhaps school groups or other residents as well.
Cool. I mean, I think it's a very creative business model, and that's the thing I thought was interesting, combining, the uniqueness of the vehicles, the advantage of electric, both from the business side, but also from the marketing side as well, and being able to be in different places that gas powered cars can't be. And then, having all these interesting partnerships. So that's why we were very interested in kind of doing what we can to support you, let people know about you, partner and do stuff together. So, because Richmond's becoming a very interesting place. And I only mention this because we're recording this for Facebook and for YouTube for other folks that will happen upon this, that, when people think about electric vehicles, they think about California. In fact, electric vehicles are everywhere in the country. In Richmond, Metro Richmond, Hampton Roads area, Northern Virginia, all these regions have become next, places where a lot of electric vehicles are being used in creative ways. And I'll mention this, and that in addition to RVATukTuk, there's a different company that also has, like, they do the Segways, and they also have they use the GEM cars to do some similar kinds of things that RVATukTuk does. We used to have a company here that did the wireless charging called Evatran. They got acquired, so they're not here anymore. But the point is that Metro Richmond, Virginia, has definitely become this place where the technology is taking hold. There's a great amount of interest, and I think it's a great example of the fact that if we put more attention into kind of accelerating things, because it's already here, and so this kind of nudging things forward, I think would be helpful. So, I'll let Lyndsi put any final thoughts in terms of kind of where she sees the future of the business and electrification, and then I'll close things up.
Yeah, I think, once we get through, the slowdown related to COVID, we were really on the brink of having, an extremely busy spring. And I think as soon as things loosen up a little bit on the COVID, that we will be much more visible. And like I said, our original plan has us expanding, doubling in size. We've got 4 tuk-tuks now. Doubling in size within a couple of years. So we're really very focused on that. I think, if they're sitting in the shop, they're not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, we want to be out and about. The tours help us get out there. Events, when those start back up, we'll raise the visibility, and we clearly want people to know, without a doubt, that they're electric. We have reached out and started relationships with other like-minded businesses. The Virginia Green Power is potentially, we've got a contract with them for advertising that they're going to put on the tuk-tuks. That's a little bit in limbo right now with things kind of being postponed, but hopefully we can get back to that. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we hope that you all will get a chance to ride on the tuk-tuk. I know Charles has, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, I was at the Carytown one, and then I think your husband said, David said, "Hey, you want to jump in, take a ride?" I said, "Sure." And I was trying to get to experience some kind of electric vehicle. I tell you that I will testify that it is zippy. Because you definitely get that instant torque, even in a car that only goes 25 miles an hour. So it's and I like that, and I'm very attuned to the quiet aspect of it. So I love being able to sort of just move through space, and you don't hear an engine. It feels effortless.
It's a very different experience of being in the city. I mean, it's not, you're in a car, you're really cut off from things. You don't hear as much, and you don't smell, and you don't see as much. And this is like walking down the street, but in a very zippy vehicle with, it's fun. I mean, for all ages.
Right.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
I'm just curious, what part of town is your shop in? You Scott's Addition?
No, we're at the VCU area. It's Carver neighborhood. We're kind of like behind the Siegel Center.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's a really good central location for us, because we're in Scott's Addition a lot. We're also in the Fan and downtown. So it's a nice central location.
Second question, do you need any drivers?
We're always looking for drivers. We've got some great drivers now, and we would love to have more drivers.
That looks fun.
If we can get busy, you give us a call and we'll get you out there. They're fun. I mean, they really are
fun to drive.
You have to worry. The back end is a lot bigger than the front end, so you need to do wide turns so that you don't somebody. But they drive more like a scooter or a motorcycle. Yeah, they're fun to drive. Give us a call.